Good evening, this is Straight Talk with Eugene Chan, and we are very honored to have Mr. Gary Neville with us this evening. If you know football, you know Gary, former England and Manchester United star footballer. He's one of the most decorated English and European footballers of all time, having won a total of 20 trophies, including 8 Premier League titles and 2 Champions League titles, and representing England at 3 European Championships and 2 World Cups from the 1990s through to his retirement in 2011. Fast forward to the present, he owns a business empire, Relentless Group, and his dream is to turn Manchester into the next Manhattan. Manchester United has many fans around the world, including here in Hong Kong, and we are delighted that you can be with us this evening to discuss the club as well as the city itself. Welcome to Hong Kong, Gary.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Right, Gary. You began as a sort of celebrity footballer, and now you own a business empire, the Relentless Group, a property development corporation. That's entirely a transition. What inspired you to embark on such an entrepreneurial journey into the property development industry?
Well, sports people are in the unique position of only being able to do what they love for a very short period of time, and you don't normally get past the age of 35. I just got to my 36th birthday and retired, but then have 30, 40 years left in front of me to decide to do something different. And all sports people have that challenge of how you fill that void. Those special moments that we had at Manchester United can't be repeated when you're 45 or 55 or 65. So I just chose to go and explore. I chose 3 different paths. One was coaching, which I wasn't as passionate about and wasn't as good at, being honest with you. Media, which I've really enjoyed, whether it be with Sky Sports, with ITV, or whether it be my own channels. And then obviously the business side of things, I wanted to really invest back into Greater Manchester and into the city that has been so good to me, and into the surrounding area that's been so good to me, into sectors that I was passionate about, which is hospitality, development, production and education. So from that point of view, I feel very comfortable in the business space. I feel like I want to do more of it. I don't want to stop. I feel that property development I've been doing since I was 22 when I built my first house. So it's something that I've learned along the way and something that I'm really passionate about.
Right. I was looking up your bio and I realized your good mate David Beckham said you're always a Mr. Sensible. And your brother Phil said that let's save for rainy day and let's put the money in the pension. So you have always been a well-planned guy, but what makes you want to put your money into the property and now into property development?
I'm passionate about property, always have been, love design, love architecture, love the thrill of buying a piece of land and getting planning for it and sort of making sure that it's a great place, something that the people who are going to use it, if that's a hotel, then it's obviously the hotel guests. If it's a commercial development, then obviously it's the office occupiers. Whatever it may be, if it's a residential apartment, it's the people who are going to live in there. I've always felt very passionate about making sort of what would be great projects and seeing them through from cradle to grave. And we've got a very special development at this moment in time in Manchester called St Michael's, which is in 2 phases. The first phase is a commercial building, 200,000 square foot, and the second is a 40-storey tower where we've got a W hotel and W residences, and that's the reason that I'm over in Hong Kong this week. But the reason, going back to your question around why property development, why real estate, is because I just love real estate. I love the idea of it. It's probably after football the thing that I'm most knowledgeable about.
Right. And just now you told me you were the captain for the Manchester United and you've been playing for the English team as well. How has all this experience made you sort of manage your business now? I mean, I'm sure there will be some managers or workers that may not be fully listening to you all the time. How would you manage it with your experience?
I've always been comfortable in positions of authority and positions where you have to lead from the front. Whether it be going back to being youth team captain when I was 18, that was a great responsibility at the time. And then obviously I became Manchester United captain at the age of 29 when Roy Keane left. Before that, I was the PFA representative. Post that, I obviously was sort of the co-founder of businesses, CEO of businesses, set up my own production company and channel, The Overlap. So I've always been in positions whereby I've been able to, I wouldn't say lead people, I don't really think of it like that. I like to think that we embark upon a journey together and that I'm sort of, if you like, someone who is steering that project forward, who's maybe created that project. So you create an environment, hopefully, where people come and like to enjoy working with you, and then you create a team. And that's what I feel I can do pretty successfully, is build teams that are loyal to each other, that trust each other. And when you have that, whether it be in sport or whether it be in business, you can create wonderful things.
Right. When you decide what to buy, say, for example, what will be your overriding strategy?
Location. Am I passionate about it? The sector that I am going to go into, so if it's hospitality, commercial or residential. But say for instance, someone came to me with an industrial project, I wouldn't buy. I'm not passionate about that type of thing, so I wouldn't just buy something because it would give me an investment return. I have to be passionate about its end use and what it's actually going to do and what it looks like as well. I don't sort of go and purchase buildings that aren't architecturally attractive as well. So whether that's historic buildings, which I've got a number of in Manchester, whether it's a modern building, again, which I've got a few of as well. So for me, I think that it has to work financially, but architecturally, it's got to be attractive. It's got to be a sector that I'm passionate about, and it's got to be in a location that I'm really interested in, which is Greater Manchester and surrounding area.
Right. So your transition from a football player to property development, did you ever have any difficult challenges you have encountered?
Of course. Yeah, many challenges. Some of the biggest mistakes that I've made have been in property development. We took on a major planning challenge against Historic England, who were the conservation body in the UK, and we lost. And we had 2 years of trying to put that planning permission forward. We had many thousands of objections. So there's times where I've obviously felt that I've made mistakes in property development, but there's an element of gut instinct to property development as well. There's an element of sort of that, smelling a good project, yes. And also there's perseverance and persistence. I think of a property development almost like winning a Premier League title. It's over 38 matches. You don't win it in one match, no. A real estate development project. You have many different challenges along the way. You lose matches, you get players sent off, you have injuries. All these things happen in real estate. Right. You have planning permission that goes wrong. It maybe goes over budget. There's maybe an issue on site with the construction. There's maybe some design problems. So all these things happen in sort of what would be real estate and property developments, as in football, but you've got to have perseverance, you've got to have that persistence and determination, yes. To know where you're going. And if the project has got a great vision behind it and it's got the right characteristics, then it will succeed in the end.
Right, you once said, never give in. So what is the thing
that's the one thing
that what has kept you
never
going?
Do.
What has kept you going?
Never give in. Never give in is something that, I believe it's a choice. I believe it's a choice. Getting up in the morning and deciding to do your very best and never giving in is a choice that we all have in life. And Sir Alex Ferguson was absolutely incredible at making that choice very simple for us. Mm-hmm. Because if you're passionate about the project and passionate about the work that you do, and I was passionate at Manchester United every single day for 25 years from the age of 11 to 36, I knew if I didn't give my best or I did give in, I wouldn't be at the club anymore. There's a consequence. There is a consequence for not doing your best and giving in. Attitude, desire, work ethic are critical to everybody in life. When you think of your grandparents and your parents and the work that they put into their lives to enable you to be as successful as you are today, it was all through hard work. It was all through being reliable and consistent and getting up every single day, and longevity of that hard work over a long period of time. And that's what Sir Alex Ferguson taught us at Manchester United, and that's what we have now in our businesses. We don't give in. You don't give in. That's just not something that you do, and that's why we used to win games in the last few minutes. It wasn't because Sir Alex Ferguson used to go like that with his watch.
Yes. Right, Gary, just before we go to the break, I want to ask you a direct question. This is the first time the Relentless Development has gone overseas, the Sarah project, and why do you choose Hong Kong, and why do you think, what are the benefits for the people of Hong Kong to invest in Manchester?
We haven't just chosen Hong Kong. We've gone to Singapore, to Shanghai, to Beijing, to Hong Kong. We'll go to Dubai. We'll go to other parts of Europe. Manchester is a multicultural, diverse, successful city that people are its greatest strength. And I always think of Manchester as being very similar to my team at Manchester United that I played in. We had a great local group of players. We had fantastic players from all around the UK, but we also had some wonderful international players. And when you put that together in harmony, you create a successful team. And Manchester has got 120,000 students. Many of those thousands of students come from different parts of the world, including Hong Kong, China, Singapore, different parts of the Middle East. And over 50% of those students that come to Manchester that graduate, they actually stay in the city because it's a special spirit and it's a special place. And so for me, a really successful, thriving city is one that not only looks after its local people and people from its own country, but it accepts and hugs and lives in harmony with people from international countries as well. And Manchester does that so well. It's a beautiful thing, really. And I have to say that would always be the way. This project will be sold, obviously, locally in Manchester. There are many people from Manchester who have bought in this project. There are many people from the UK bought in this project. But there are also people from Asia, from the Middle East and different parts of the world that will buy in this project as well.
All right, Gary, let's take a break now. And we will stay tuned. We will be right back. Thank you for staying with us. And we have Mr. Gary Neville on the show this evening, and he has been talking to us about why Hong Kong people should be attracted to Manchester. So Gary, you had explained your passion, your teamwork, and your love for the property, location, the most important thing. But one thing I've also noted, this development you're doing is one of the most expensive in Manchester. Will people make money out of it, firstly? And there are many apartments actually in Manchester, I was being told. How would the actual demand and supply come to sort of equilibrium or even do better in the future?
Well, look, I mean, there's a little bit of untruth in what you've just said, that there's too much sort of demand. Manchester is such a young city when it comes to residential living. I think in 1984, which is 30, 40 years ago, only 800 people lived in our city. And what we've seen in this last 10 to 15 years is the city actually come to life with people living in the city, and tens of thousands of people have moved into the city. But it's a city that's growing and thriving all the time. There's a big business community that's relocating from different parts of the UK and Europe and basing themselves in Manchester. We've got a huge university base, which I talked about before, which fuels the employment and the employee. You know, that's where the sort of skills are. And we've got plenty of skill in our city. It's got the largest student population in Europe. And in terms of Manchester over the last 10 years, it's been far better in terms of investment growth and yield than on residential apartments than London. You know, London, obviously, because it's very trusted, it's been the place where people have invested over many years, still a very good investment, but the returns are quite small, whereas Manchester is a city that goes like this.
Right.
If you look at the relationships between sort of first and second cities in major countries, there's usually the first city here and the second city would be here. Whereas actually in Manchester, and London and Manchester, you've got this. So Manchester's still got a long way to go to get to where its natural place should be. And you know, the city's thriving, it needs more of everything really. It needs more of residential apartments, it needs more grade A office, and it needs more hotels.
Right, Gary, for business and investors, we look at different cities as well. I mean, you have Liverpool, Birmingham and Newcastle around. And what advantages does Manchester have over those cities?
Well, they're also wonderful cities. I wouldn't be critical of those cities, but Manchester has moved ahead. It's had a very entrepreneurial council with a very committed local business community, and it's accepted international investment. Obviously the football clubs help as well because they're both world renowned. And Manchester has definitely moved ahead of those cities in terms of sort of investment and in terms of returns in the last 10 years. And in terms of the facilities and sort of what would be just the amount of development that's occurred in those cities, there's no doubt those cities are catching up. But Manchester is well ahead, I would say, in terms of how it's performed.
Right. The mayor of the Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has said a recent decision in October by the UK government to scrap the HS2 high-speed rail between Birmingham and Manchester is wrong and could harm Manchester's development. Do you agree? And can that decision be reversed?
It may be reversed. I mean, we may have a change of government. It's 2 hours currently on a train from London to Manchester. I mean, what I would say is that Manchester's growth in this last 10 to 15 years has been in spite of government policy. We have a model in Manchester that I think is quite unique, and I mentioned it before. We have a very committed local business community who will invest heavily in the city. We have a lot of, if you like, international investment. We welcome international investment. We welcome national investment. And that's not just from Asia, that's from the Middle East, that's from Europe, and that's from different parts of the world. And what we've done is grown from strength to strength with a great partnership between the private sector and the public sector leadership in the council in Manchester and Trafford and Salford, right, the surrounding areas. So HS2, it's a disappointment. There is no doubt, but it's a continual, the government talk about levelling up in the north of England, but doesn't really happen from a policy perspective. But we're persistent, and that, you mentioned the words before, never give in. Manchester won't give in. Manchester will continue to thrive. There is a potential that the money that was going into HS2, apparently they're saying, is going to be redirected into connecting northern cities, which would bring great prosperity. So HS2 is something of a disappointment, but it's not something that will damage Manchester's long-term or short to medium-term investment capability.
Right, Gary, we have talked so much about your vision, your development. I'm sure the viewers has been asking, Eugene, why aren't you asking any questions about the football, which I'm going to start right now. The last time Manchester United won the Premier League was in 2012 to 2013 season. Do you expect the glory to return to Old Trafford anytime soon?
I don't expect it to return anytime soon because I don't live with that expectation. As a fan, I grew up in the 80s when Manchester United weren't successful and didn't win Premier League titles or didn't win as the old sort of Champion League Division 1 title. So it's not a case of I'm sat here as a Manchester United fan thinking we have to win the league every year. That no one has that right. This is sport, it's volatile, it's erratic, and if you make bad decisions and you have a poor ownership, then you'll probably not be successful. Sir Alex Ferguson was shielding the ownership for many, many years, but as soon as he left and David Gill left, who was the CEO, we've seen in the last 10 years that this is not a very successful ownership in managing a football club. However, we're about to embark upon a new journey with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's going to take a minority stake in the club, and you'd hope that change in the boardroom, right, and the change of leadership will bring about overall change on the pitch eventually. But I don't expect that to happen quickly. If it did, then brilliant, we'd all be very happy. But I would expect it to take maybe 3 to 5 years minimum for Jim Ratcliffe to be able to deliver success. And success at Manchester United has to be the Premier League title and the Champions League. You can't measure Manchester United's success off anything else other than those two main targets.
Right. Gary, you mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson's name a few times, and people in Hong Kong who've been following football know that he is one of the greatest managers of all time. So what do you think was the secret of his success at this time with Manchester United, in short?
The ability to get everybody in the club, the people on the pitch and off the pitch, aligned with a vision that they had to come in every single day and work as hard as they could, never give in and believe in themselves and show the talent that he trusted us to have. He was the one that decided we were good enough to come to the club and play football, and in return he gave us a platform to be able to go out and play and be, express ourselves, be courageous, thrive, and he connected the whole city, let alone just, if you like, Manchester United's players and coaching staff and fans. It was an amazing period. An unbelievable man who succeeded over a long period of time, but his main ability was to bring people along on the journey with him.
Right. Gary, I must confess, I actually did watch a lot of your games with David Beckham back in the days when you guys were playing together. And we can call David Beckham kind of a legend in a way. How will you compare him with other Manchester United greats like Sir Bobby Charlton, George Best, or even Eric Cantona?
Well, David Beckham will always be one of Manchester United's great players and great legends, and most famous players and legends as well on and off the pitch. Part of obviously a group of young players who came through, part of a great story, but also individually an exceptional talent who delivered consistently over 10 years playing for Manchester United, won 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League, became one of the best players in the world in that period, and was dedicated and loved Manchester United, so he will be one of the greats.
Mm-hmm. Gary, Hong Kong was a colony before, and a lot of Hong Kong people are very frenetic, especially when the England team is playing. I mean, every time we want you guys to win in the finals. Right? Are there too many foreign players now playing in the English teams, in the leagues? Do you think they should have a sort of minimum number of foreign players that can play on the Premier League?
There might be. Look, I think it's about 35% English players now in the Premier League, 65% international. That might be a 5-10% too high, but look, the main thing is that we have a fantastic group of England players coming through, and I think that's got better in the last few years. And English football has benefited hugely from great international coaches, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, and then you think of Dennis Bergkamp and Eric Cantona and all the Cristiano Ronaldo, all the great players, Thierry Henry from around the world. We can't just pick and choose when we want international players and when we don't want them. You know, England as a country is a multicultural, diverse, successful country. When we talk about unity and harmony, and that's not just, you know, if you like, sort of closing your doors, that's about making sure that you accept people. So I'm very nervous of using language where I say there's too many foreigners in our game. It's too basic a comment that it's far more complex than that, and we've benefited enormously from international talent and skill.
Right, Gary, at the last part of the show I want to ask you a direct question. I mean, since you stopped playing football, you have become a famous soccer pundit, developed business interests, and there have been even suggestions you're interested in going into politics.
That won't happen.
So how do you see your career developing over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it will become more focused and refined. I think I took a lot of projects on. Those projects are now starting to come to fruition and,
right.
You know, stabilise. I think that I know where my passions lie. I love business, I love sport, and I love media, so they'll always be in those areas, but I think what I need to do is focus probably on 1 or 2 projects. Development will always be a focus of mine because I absolutely love it. I've done it since I was 22. I've done it for 26 years and I never get bored of it. Every time I go into a development meeting, I enjoy it. So for me, that will be something of a focus. My media commitments, I think, will sort of potentially adapt over the next few years. I think I'm finding myself enjoying different parts of the media, but I love commentating on the matches as well. You know, this weekend I'm going to fly home early next week. I'm going to fly home to England, and I'm going to commentate on Manchester City and Liverpool next Saturday. I'm going to go and watch that game. That is a wonderful game of football, even though it's 2 clubs that I don't particularly like. And then on the Sunday, I'm going to watch Everton versus Manchester United. So when you think about that, that is a beautiful thing for me to be able to do, and that's not work. That is just an honour. Whereas actually this project obviously brings great responsibility, the development project that I'm doing in the university that we have. So, you know, I want my career to continue in the same, if you like, trajectory that it's going, but maybe become a little bit more refined in the next few years.
Right, final question. Did I hear you saying that not into politics?
I'll definitely not be going into politics. I mean, I've spoken out in the last few years about political situations, about political leadership, because I think it's important to be able to do that. If you've got a platform, and when you see something's wrong, in my personal view, then obviously, you know, it's important to use that voice. But I also think that the reality of it is that there will be an election in the next 12 months, and we'll see what happens. Right,
I'm afraid we have to leave it here, Gary, and thank you very much for your time with us, and your unyielding passion and vision for his hometown has been an inspiring example for all of us. Someone once said, passion always finds a way. Follow your passions and everything else will work out. Have a good evening and see you next week.
Thank you.